I missed it. Brian, do you have class? Oh, that's. You were telling me about why your first 2 years of college were important.
Yeah. Well, from my own personal experience, coming out of high school, I graduated in 1985, and I went to Mount San Antonio College. And, well, I went to Chadwick High School, and at Chadwick, there was this, it was small. My graduating class consisted of like 51 students. And, it was like a family at the time, The teachers were similar to the way they are here in Marymount. But me going from a school like that to Mount San Antonio College, where it's a bigger school, and the teachers aren't as, personable. They don't take the time to really get to know you or whatever. And I went there and I really didn't enjoy it there. I kind of missed the feeling of going to school, growing in school as far as academically is concerned, and growing, out of school socially. I was only growing academically, and I missed the social part of it. Now at Marymount, the balance, there's a balance there. You can grow academically, and socially. And I think that's important in the first 2 years of school. If you're just going to school just to go to school, then I don't know. I lost what I was going to say. Well, if you're going to school, and you don't, and your intentions are just to get done with it, to get on to another school, then it doesn't really matter where you go. But I don't think that's the case with most people. Most people, go to college to learn and to get into their majors or whatever, and to get to know people in the social aspects as well. Now, I'm not saying that, well, you should, go to school and party or whatever all the time, but as long as you keep, the proper perspective as to what's more important, then, both of them, it'll both work out. And with Marymount, they allow you the chance to grow, in the classroom and to meet people outside of the classroom. There's numerous things. You go to student activities, or student affairs or whatever. You have bulletin boards full of clubs, intramural sports, dances planned, lip syncs and things like that, And if you had a problem, with talking to someone one-on-one and getting to know them, then, you have that opportunity where you can just join a club where people will have to find out about you, or get into a lip sync or intramural sports, and people, they find out that you're a really nice person, and you won't even have to go up to them and say, hey, I'm a nice person, get to know me, and I appreciate that opportunity, and I think it's harder at a bigger school to do something like that, to get to know people as easily. And you should get to know people in school because they'll help you out. We're all sharing the same experience here, at Marymount. And if you try to go through the experience by yourself, then that's going to be harder on you. But if you have someone, one person or a group of people to share that experience with, then it's much easier. They help you out when you're down, you help them out when they're down. And that's important.
Super. I think we better get to Brian.
Okay.
That was
I think I covered it.
That was
Okay.
great.
You interviewed me for London.
For London, yeah. So I know a lot about you.
Now about my Mickey Mouse hat.
Oh, shoot. I think you should have worn that.
I don't wear it for interviews, only for homework.
Only for homework. Releases pressure. Is there a lot of pressure here? Do you feel a lot of pressure here at Marymount?
Self-put pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself for my grades. I have high standards for myself, like 4.0. And if I don't get that, which I don't, because I carry enough units so that I make it impossible for myself, but when I don't get it, then I've failed in some respect in some class. But close. You know, I set the standard for myself, and I'm in enough different clubs so that there's pressure on me, because I'll have 2 meetings at the same time, and then I'll have homework to do, and it's, you know, trying to run all over the place at the same time. Popularity has its prices.
How has Marymount helped you with that pressure? I mean, do you finally get more support here than you would someplace else?
Yeah, more academic support, you know, since that's the main problem of pressure. I can go into teachers and talk to them about problems I'm having, you know, with the academics. You know, if I'm having a problem with the math problem, I can go in and talk to them about it and get individual help instead of sitting in my room for 2 hours trying to figure it out on my own. So that helps get that done.
What about support personally?
Like friends-wise?
Yeah, or any kind of support. I mean, just moral support here or whatever.
My friends, you know, give me support and stuff. My roommate, a lot. He's probably my best friend on campus. He gives me a lot of support, you know. He just keeps it quiet when I need to do work, and we'll hang out together and stuff and relax together and work together. And, you know, I get support from other students here just, you know, by being around them and stuff, you know, by having friendships. That's support.
Yeah, that's true. Where did you go to school?
Which time?
How did you find out about Marymount? How did you get here?
I was at a boarding school before here, called CEDU, and it was very small. The student population was about a little over 100. I found out about Marymount through them. A lot of kids from there I had heard went here because of the small size. It made the transition easier. So when I left there, I looked into it and inquired, and it was a pretty campus, so I said, sure. and I didn't have a whole lot of choices. My high school record was pretty bad. Screwed around a lot. You know, I needed some place to go to pick up my grades to go to the college of my choice, which hopefully now I'll be able to do.
What's your GPA now?
Last semester was a 3.49. This semester, I'm hoping to pull 5 A's and 1 B. I don't know if that'll work or not. You know, I got another week of finals, but you know, that's basically a path I'm looking at. I'd like to leave Marymount with about a 3.7, at least. You know, I figured that'll get me where I want to go, which is back east. So.
Tell me about your plans for next year.
Well, I'm a freshman, so I'll be returning to Marymount, but through Marymount I'm going on a semester of London, which they just started. That should be interesting. We're the pioneers from Marymount going there. We'll be going there for a semester and then coming back to Marymount, spending a semester here, and then graduating. So, pretty psyched for that.
Can you think of any anecdotes or stories in particular when teachers really made that extra step and really went that extra mile for you?
it's hard to think of like one story off the top of my head. I don't know if I really have one story. I think it's just a general, I've had teachers where here they have a tendency to take other things into consideration other than your grades. If you're there every day and stuff like that at a big college they might not notice. They take that into consideration. I've had borderline grades and I've been there every day for the class, and they'll put it up. Or just having teachers around to talk to. A couple of my best friends on campus are some of my professors, because they make themselves available for me to talk to them. And I'll hang out with them and go to their office and talk to them. And it's just, talking to them gets over the fear of having them as a teacher, the fear of them, the authoritarian fear. And then it's easier to learn in their classes. The teacher I was most afraid of, I made the effort to get to know the guy. He's probably my best friend on campus. So.
That's super. So they're pretty accessible.
Very accessible. Most of them. Not every teacher, of course. Nothing's perfect. But most of them, for the most part, I've had a pretty easy time getting to them. Yeah.
What do you think what is your feel of Marymount? What is your gut level reaction to it, not your intellectual reaction?
I work off intellectual a lot, so it's tough to tell you that. It's just a calmness. When I don't have classes on Friday, and when I'll come up here on a Friday or over the weekend to grab something, and I have no class, I'll hang out here for 6 hours or something, just walking around, talking to different people, and getting different errands taken care of. And it's like a relaxed feeling when you're not rushing from class to class, and you just sit down. You have no place to go really quickly, and you can just look out and see Catalina and look over the ocean, and you have the breeze blowing over. It's just relaxed. It's a calming effect, And walking around the campus, I'll be, stressed out, and I can look out, and it just calms me down because my environment is very important to me. That's what originally attracted me to Marymount. I've had nights when I've sat in finals and sat there not knowing the answer, and I'll just look out the window over the ocean, relax myself, and then I go on. So that helps me in many ways.
That reminds me of something else. You're talking about finals and stuff. Did you have any particular problems or skill deficiencies when you came here that Marymount helped with? Like test anxiety, or you never knew how to budget your time, or you didn't know how to take notes or write papers or whatever?
I don't know. I think that my biggest problem was my study skills. I had none. So obviously any I have now are an improvement. They're pretty good. But in high school, I always took the attitude, well, I can get an A if I want to, so I don't have to do it because I know I can do it. That was satisfaction enough for me, was knowing I could do it while I got my D's and C's. Here, I try to take the attitude, I can get an A and I'm going to get an A. Works for the most part. Have one class where that theory's just not working. But other than that, I've learned to just put in so that it's not acceptable to me to not have assignments turned in anymore, whereas it was my norm previously. It doesn't happen now. When it happens, it's the bizarre for it to happen, not the norm. So I think that's been a lot of my things I've had to straighten out, knowing that I can't go to a major university of my choice if I don't have study skills, if I don't have the determination to get my work done, get the grades I want to get. I think I've developed that here, and when I move on, I don't foresee any problems.
Good. If you could change one feature about this college, what would it be?
Excuse me. I was thinking about the parking. If I could change one feature, you might want to pause it for this part. I got to think about this.
We are going to pause here. and I will be away. So.
Okay.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Oh, thought we were waiting. But
It's okay. Don't worry about that question. I'm a high school senior, and I'm thinking about Marymount. I don't know. I want to go straight into a 4-year college. Why should I pay all that money to go to a 2-year college?
Depends what you need. You know, some people are perfectly fine for going into a 4-year. If I'd gone straight into a 4-year, I would have bombed. Not that I didn't have what it took. I think I just needed a transition stage to acclimate myself to college life before moving on. I think a lot of high school seniors need that. You know, not everyone here came from a small boarding school like myself. I know people who got low grades in high school, you know, for no other reason than they just didn't try. Now's their time to try. No sense in them going to a mediocre 4-year when they can spend 2 years here, prepare themselves, and get into the college of their choice. I think it gives you a lot more flexibility with decisions, you know, and just growing. For a lot of people, it's the first time away from home. Learning that, you know, in a small environment is easier than just being another number out of 30,000. You know, I know the housing facilities here are like families, whereas, you know, one section of a floor at a major university may be the same way. You know, it's just, you get to know people in your environment, more people around you. Because it's smaller, you can't avoid them. And I think it works for you.
What special things are there about Marymount that help you make that transition? You talked about this is a good place to make the transition. What are there?
The personal attention with grades and stuff, you know, you can't slack off if you have the proper friends around you, because they'll get on your case about it. You know, I get scolded by my teachers when I don't know, when they know I'm capable more, instead of just saying, oh, well, it's his thing. They take the personal time, you know, if I'm a friend of theirs, to say, look, you should have gotten an A on this, you know, next time, let's see an A. You know, this is substandard for you. I forgot what I was talking about.
It's okay. The things about Marymount that make the transition easier.
I don't know, move on.
Okay. How about, how would you respond to someone say, oh, it's so small, God, I would go crazy.
Well, I like it. I like the small, because I came from a small school, smaller than Marymount. So for me, you know, it's not the adjustment from a huge high school dropping down and then having to go back up to a university. It's just a step up. So for me, that's not really a problem aspect of it. I like small things, you know. Going from a high school that was so small to a 30,000 student population, I would have gone insane. You know, I couldn't have handled it. Just because there would have been so much happening. You know, a few years ago, I used to be one of those people who enjoyed getting lost in the crowd. Now I like to stand out. So here, I have that ability, you know, to get involved easily. My first semester here, I didn't do anything. I didn't even read the school newspaper. I was just so uninvolved. Just didn't really want, you know, I wanted to concentrate on my academics, and that was it, and not any of the social life. And in a period of just a few weeks, I had the opportunity, because it's a small school, to accomplish a lot, you know. Going into the major clubs, you know, being chosen for London, the transition can happen in a shorter time than at a larger university where you wouldn't be noticed quite as quickly for your change.
What made you decide that making that transition was important, getting involved was important?
The London trip inspired me a lot. I knew that if I wanted to go, I needed to start, you know, getting out there. and doing stuff. It was just, I didn't really, the first semester I just wanted my space to sort of take in the environment and get used to it before I went out and gave back to it. I took from my environment, and then there's a time after taking when you should give back. And so I went out, and it's a snowball effect. You get into one club and they mention your name to another, and then they invite you to be in it, and it gets to a point when you're in a bunch of them, too many.
How you manage to balance it all?
I haven't figured that out yet. I've tried. The meetings come at the same time, and it's just so confusing. No, I take it in order of priority. If I've been to 3 meetings of one club in the past 2 weeks, and it's the first meeting of another, then I'll go to that one. And I don't commit myself. I commit myself to something in each group to get done, but not too much so that it's impossible.
How'd you learn to do that?
Boarding school.
Really?
But yeah, I was pretty involved up there, and I'd run into the same problems: clubs conflicting, events conflicting, and just not enough time to do it. And here, it's just don't spread yourself thin. I don't get a lot of sleep, but my classes and the clubs, they take a lot of my time, but it's worth it, I think, at least. Because, first of all, I get to know people. When I wasn't in the clubs, I didn't know half so many people. Now I walk down the hall, it's hi, because I know all the people. Whereas last semester, I knew a handful of people. Not that they didn't try to get to know me, I just didn't take the effort to know them. This semester, it's just knowing people,